I have to call Evie. Tell her to come out here and get her chickens. Evie, come get your chickens. This girl steady just walked these chickens into the coop area. Like it was no big deal. They're just living their best lives, walking over there with her. Absolute chicken whisperer. Hey there, welcome back to Jonestead Farm. I wanted to shoot a quick little video. This one's really quick, but I just wanted to tell you, I just have something on my heart. You know, sometimes the Lord just lays stuff on your heart and you just feel like you need to talk about it. It's kind of funny how God does things. As you know, we have a little baby boy, Jude, cutest little guy. And he is just a blessing, like such a blessing to our family. He also, you know, is one of those things, it's like you don't think about in your like plan, but God thinks otherwise, and then you end up with this precious life to steward. And you know, when you start hitting those postpartum days where you're just like exhausted and you're nursing, or even if you're not nursing, they're still exhausting. I've done both. And you end up just feeling so tired, right? And you feel the overwhelm of all the things that you want to do, but all the things that it's not the season for. And I feel like I've had to give up so many things in this season. And I feel like God has just done such great things in my heart in this season. 20-year-old Janann, back when I was having all my other babies, may not have sat and listened to the Lord nearly as much. But this time around, it's truly dying to yourself, but falling more and more in love with God and more in love with your family. And so I just wanted to encourage you. Okay, I'm going to show you my garden because the sucker is the thing. All right, as most of you know that have been following us, or if you haven't been following us, you can go look a couple of videos back. I talked about garden mulch secrets and how I put straw down in my garden. And it was great. My garden did great from the aspect of the mulch was not the problem. My time was. I was overly exhausted with a baby and was focused on him and was not really focused on my garden. And basically where, you can't really see it very well, but basically where the top of that pepper plant that's like right here, that was all weeds. As tall as pretty much my zinnias, all weeds. And all the beds. My husband did such a great job like trying to keep the walkways clean for me so I could go in there and work and harvest what I could harvest, but man, oh man, it was just rough, okay? And I'm coming on to just say this. Sometimes it's not the season. And it's kind of funny, I came out here yesterday, it was really, really hot, I was overwhelmed, I'm looking at these beds and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is horrible, there's so many weeds. And I was just overwhelmed, and Dave was so encouraging, and he was just like, don't be overwhelmed, you know, just do what you can do and have fun with it. You don't have to make it a thing. And in my mind, I'm like, no, I need to be canning, I need to be putting things away, I need to be, you know, all the things, all the pressure you put on yourself. And so every time I start to get overwhelmed, I just think back on just wisdom that I've heard from people around me and YouTube videos and things like that. And I'm like, nope, Janann, just do the next right thing. So the next right thing was, I know I have food out here. I know I have peppers and beans and tomatoes planted. So what am I going to do? I'm not going to stress out about what am I going to plant for my fall garden. I'm going to worry about just stewarding what I have. So I came out here and I worked off and on all day weeding these beds. And when I mean weeding, I'm gonna look for some footage and see if I can find something. It's getting ready to rain, but you know, it's okay. At least it's cool. I'm gonna see if I can find some footage, but it was crazy tall. Anyway, I just came out here and I just weeded beds. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get to this section. Cool, done. I'm gonna get to this section. Cool, done. And I feel like I'm murdering plants whenever I pull out volunteers. I'm like, oh my gosh, what the potential of this food? And I'm like, Jan, that's stupid. It's covered in weeds. I can't get to it. All of it's going to go to the bugs anyway. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pull it now, and then it'll be at least pig food. So I was like, you know what? I'm doing this today. I'm getting it done. I'm going to push through. My husband was amazing. He helped with the baby off and on all day. I worked out here while he was napping because it was really too hot for the little guy to be out here. And he's very much like his dad and does not enjoy August very much. He likes being outside. He just doesn't like the heat. And so I worked my tail off. And now my beds look like this. You can see I have nice, lush, dark soil still there. So that's going to be one bed for fall. I'm going to sow another wave of cucumbers, see if I can get those to go. I had to pull all of my zucchini this year because of the squash bugs. They were so bad. So I threw all my weeds over here and some spent plants. So you can see I have some spent tomatoes. But this whole bed is going to be resown, and this whole bed is going to be resown. But look, I have a garden again, guys. Like, I have a garden, and it's so encouraging. I need to mow these walkways again. And it's kind of like whenever you let your best friend come over versus your guests, you know, these guys, saboteurs, always out. But you know, you're my friends, so I'm just being real and raw and honest. And these are going to be, this is going to be mowed nice and tidy. And I'm just going to resow some stuff. I have some beans still out here, and I have peppers out here. And I am just letting some things go to seed on, letting them dry out on the vine so that I can save the seeds. But you know, I have this beautiful pig garden, that I like to call it, from these beautiful sunflowers that the pigs planted last year. That has just brought me so much joy, and I am just choosing joy in this season. It's getting ready to rain. Praise the Lord, I don't have to water my garden. But I just wanted to encourage you mamas out there, and even dads, and anybody, honestly, that if this is not your season, it's not your season, and it's okay. It was kind of funny. I was like, you know what, I'm going to come out here, I'm going to weed a garden, and I'm going to just do the next right thing, right? And that's why I told myself, well, what's even more funny is that I pulled out my phone, and I was like, I'm going to listen to a podcast while I'm out here. And I turned on, I follow HOA, Homesteaders of America podcast, and with the very first one that pops on is the latest one with Ruth Ann Zimmerman. And I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. It's so funny how God works like that through believers, and then of course just being God. And I'm listening to this podcast, and this podcast is all about, you know, how we set the tone for our homestead, and all about the heart of the homestead being the mama, and you know, what some people's seasons look like are not everyone's seasons at the time. We don't need to compare ourselves, all this stuff. And it was just like God was just reiterating time and time over what I already knew in my heart. And I think I would probably have encouraged myself in that when I was younger with my babies. But I lived in so much FOMO, and I lived in so much, like, I wouldn't call it insecurity. I don't think I've really ever been a super insecure person. We're just gonna do these chores in the rain because that's the farm life. But I would never really call myself a super insecure person, but I definitely was someone that had FOMO. I didn't like missing out on anything, and I hate telling people no. That was the other thing. Like, I really, really, really hate being the person that has to say, sorry, I can't help you with that, or no, I can't do that. And I've had to tell people no. I've had to say no to myself. And that, I didn't even realize how much I was saying yes to myself until the season. And yes to myself means, hey, I want to go to that thing. Or, hey, I want to be able to serve in that area. Or, hey, I want to be able to help you with that thing. That doesn't mean, saying no to things doesn't mean I'm like necessarily in my flesh. It just means in sin, it just means that I'm saying no to myself. Anybody else have chickens that like to not lay in the laying baskets? Crazy girls. With our family eating carnivore-ish, every egg counts. I used to pray for this, guys. And I know there's people out there that have prayed for this and are still praying for this. And it's blissful to be standing out here in the rain, hearing my birds chirp, listening to the bugs, looking at my very bug-ridden garden, knowing that I'm putting away some food, standing in the rain and feeling alive. So just know this, as I walk back to my house in the rain. Your season may not be the season right now for you to be able to have everything from scratch, buy everything organic, do everything homemade, homestead, home perfect. But God is ultimately your provider in all things. And also, if you're in the season of being a mama or a daddy, that's exactly where God has you. You're not intended to do everything. We were not intended to do everything. We were intended for community. Community is so important. And I think sometimes we forget that part. As homesteaders, I know initially a lot of it comes in from just absolute fear. We walk in fear sometimes. I don't know if I've ever been the person that's been fearful. I think I've been the curious person that's like always wanted to do things. Reprieve from my tree. I've always wanted to do things. I've always wanted to learn. I love to learn. I'm a lifelong learner. And a lot of people will homestead out of fear. A lot of people will homestead out of self-sufficiency. A lot of people homestead for all different reasons. For me, it's always been, I want to get back to the roots of the way God created me. I want to get back to the roots to be able to help people not be in a broken system. I want to be able to build a community where we are able to raise our children in a community of people that are believers that also just love coming back to the way God created us to live. Speaking of, this dog, you would think he would realize that these cats live here. We have a slew of black cats right now and some kittens that we're actually getting rid of. And this guy right here, he's so funny. We have had cats pretty much since we moved on the property to help manage mice and snakes and such. And this guy, he's doing exactly what God intended him to do. Hate cats. You're killing my vibe. Can you stop? This guy. He's a happy guy, but he's a big dork. Another really amazing thing to just remember is that it's just a season. This is just one gardening season in the rest of my life. All my babies are going to be gone soon. Not really soon, but it feels like soon. And I'll have plenty of time to have a pristine garden. I'll have plenty of time for no weeds. I'll have plenty of time to come out here and drink coffee all by myself. I'll have plenty of time to have peace and quiet. But this is not the season for that. And I'm choosing joy, and I'm choosing to soak up every second I can have with my kids because I know it's so fleeting. Literally, my oldest is getting ready to move off the property and get his apartment with his wife. And I'm like, ugh, that's what God's called him to do. That's what he's supposed to do. But I know that sweet little baby dude is going to be that in 5 seconds. And all of my precious other babies in between are going to be in that season in 5 seconds. So I'm choosing joy. I'm choosing to dance in the rain. You hear it? I love it. I've always been the person that wants to dance in the rain. It's beautiful. Thankfully, I'm shooting on an iPhone. If I had really bougie equipment, I wouldn't be standing out here. But it's lovely. You hear it? I got a little reprieve of the rain. It's so beautiful. Our farm looks like a farm right now. We still have our hoses out, trash cans out from butchering day, sink in a random place, wheelbarrows from moving plants. But it's so lovely to my heart. So enjoy the season you're in. Love it for what it is. See God in all things. I'm going to choose joy even in the rain. Also, I didn't plan the rain. God did, but hey, you know, it works really well for this metaphor.